Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing yet another chicken video. That's right, we're doing some more chicken content. And today this video is all about fixing your mistakes because I set up this chicken waterer and these side-mounted chicken nipples are leaking. It's pretty obvious in the cold since we've got these big old ice chunks right below each nipple. I actually only thought one was leaking, but it turns out both of them are, so we're gonna have to fix them both now. And so today I'm gonna talk about how I installed them in the first place and how I'm gonna fix them. So the first thing we need to do is get this out of the chicken coop. You can see that this is a very tight fit through the door. I think this is a 35-gallon reservoir. I said in my other video that I already regret that. I wish I went with something a little bit smaller. I think 10 to 15 gallons is probably the sweet spot. And if you want to hear more about that, go check out my winter chicken coops upgrade video. That has all the information. Now that the water reservoir is empty, you can see I'm just removing the nipples from the reservoir. And if you're thinking, wow, those came out pretty easily, that's because when I originally installed these, I only hand tightened them, which wasn't a really good decision, but I was in a rush, I didn't have a lot of tools, and it actually didn't leak for over 2 months. In the original installation, I used a 5/16 inch drill bit to make these holes. The instructions say you can also use an 11/32 inch drill bit, but I don't know anyone that has one of those, so 5/16 it is. That's the larger of the two sizes, and it works just fine. They also recommend tapping the holes with a tap and die set. Honestly, I was a little confused at the time, since when you look at these chicken nipples here, they're not straight, they're quite tapered, so I wasn't sure if you could just use a standard tap and die set for that. So I didn't do anything. I just screwed them in and I let the nipples tap the holes for me. But now that we've got them out, let's take a look at what I'm going to use to fix it. Originally, I was going to just do any kind of patch job here. I was totally down to just get some food safe silicone and slap it on top of this without actually unscrewing them and reseating them. But I just decided to use this product that I already had in my basement. This is just some Pro-Dope thread sealant, and it has this NSF or ANSI 61 certification, and that's really important. That is the potable water certification. Here's a little handy tip for you. I can never get these jars open, so I always use these clamps here, and they work great for opening these kinds of containers. I swear, every single time I try and open one of these containers, they are always fused shut, so it's great to have these clamps around just for that. Now, the instructions say that you need to mix this stuff up, and they are not lying. This is separated quite a bit. It is gross. And this applicator here is quite large. This is obviously for plumbing, and this is a very, very small bit of threading. So this is going to be interesting. I'm just going to clean off the threads here, and now we can go ahead and apply our thread sealant. And this is going to be a common theme in this video. I put way too much of this stuff on. This is a disaster. And look, I just keep going. This is painful to watch. Look, I just keep going. There's way too much on there and I have to clean that off, but I don't know. I don't know why I kept doing that. So now I'm gonna put this into the hole here and get this going on the threads that have already been impressioned into the hole. And yikes, this is a really bad camera angle. I can't actually see what the camera sees while I'm doing this, so I think I've got a better shot later. But the instructions for this thing say you don't need to get it all the way touching the reservoir, but you should get it 2/3 of the way in, which is actually another mistake in my initial installation. I'm just gonna pull out my handy clamps again and just drop them, and then I'll pull them out of the snow and we'll get this tightened up. So again, we don't need to get this fully inserted, and in retrospect, using these clamps probably wasn't the best decision, but we'll talk about that later. Let's go ahead and start on the second nipple, and ooh, I dropped it. Oh man, I don't know why I started digging around like this. I mean, I even have spares and I'm not even wearing gloves. Put gloves on. Okay, there we go. Got gloves on. Let's go find this. And there it is. It's just a little frozen. It's still good. We'll just breeze through the exact same steps again, clean the threads, apply way too much of the thread sealant, and then clean it off because there's way too much of it. You can see I use less, but even still, there is way, way too much on here. Now that we got this cleaned up, we'll put this in the hole, and yep, this camera angle is a little bit better. You can kind of see the depth that I'm going for here before tightening it off with the clamps. And this is where the biggest mistake of the day came from. If you've had some experience working with plastic fittings, you probably already know what's going to happen, but yeah, I broke it. Let's just rewind this footage and watch that again with the audio on.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm not super happy about that. But fortunately for me, I make so many horrible mistakes, so no big deal. And if you appreciate the fact that I leave the mistakes that I make in the video for others to learn from, go ahead and leave a like on this video. Consider subscribing if you're interested in watching someone that doesn't know a whole lot about homesteading, just try and figure it out as they go and do some experiments and have some fun. With a screwdriver, I was able to back that bit of plastic out, and fortunately for me, I had a few spares, so let's go on and do this again. So let's get our spare and let's play a game of how much thread sealant did I put on this time, and less, but still too much. So we've got to clean it off one last time. So we'll just screw that in by hand once again. And yes, I do like to live dangerously, so I'm going to use the clamp again to get this a little bit tighter. So there we go. We can just put this back in, just squeeze that through again. And now it's time to go get them some water. The snow is incredibly deep. I don't have any trail here, so this was rough to haul 5-gallon buckets of water all the way back to the chicken coop. You can see I needed a break here, and the chickens are just loving the bucket of water. So I decided to let them get a drink, but every now and then one little guy has to ruin it for everyone else. So we've got to push that girl out of the way. She's getting the water all messy, and we've got to get this in the reservoir. And then I'm just breaking up this big ice chunk here, just so when I come back in to check on this, if I see no new ice formed, I know that this fix was successful. And we can get our reward now. We can collect all of our eggs because we did a good job. And at this point, this footage is about a month old, and I haven't seen any additional water leakage, so I think we can call this fix a success. But with that said, that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and sleep well tonight.